Welcome to today's deep dive into military tactics that have shaped the course of history. From subtle strategic moves to overwhelming force, the techniques we'll be discussing have proven effective across many different wars and combat situations. We'll be exploring everything from sniper traps and salvo techniques to blitzkrieg and siege tactics, giving you a detailed look at how they work and why they were so crucial in battle. Stay tuned to not only gain an understanding of these battlefield maneuvers, but also to see how they've evolved and, in some cases, remained unchanged even in modern warfare. Let's get started. Firstly, let's talk about the sniper trap, a chilling but effective technique. Instead of killing an enemy combatant, the sniper intentionally shoots to wound. The goal here is to draw more enemy units into the sniper's field of fire as they attempt to provide aid. This tactic preys on the natural instinct to rescue comrades, making it an effective way to take out more soldiers. It's all about patience, precision, and understanding human nature in battle. Moving to the salvo, this technique aims to catch the enemy off guard and defeat them quickly, ideally before they have a chance to react. In naval warfare, particularly during World War I and World War II, every cannon on a ship would fire simultaneously. Not only does this barrage potentially overwhelm the enemy, but it also helps set the firing range more effectively. The visible multiple splashes make it easier to correct the aim in real time, a tactic especially valuable when fighting on the water. However, modern technology, like cruise missiles, has largely replaced salvo tactics, but its historical impact remains undeniable. Now, let's look at hold-down positions, a strategy still in use by tanks today. The idea is simple. Tanks use terrain like hills or other cover to expose as little as possible, ideally only the gun barrel, keeping the rest of the vehicle hidden from enemy fire. While this can be a powerful defensive maneuver, it's not suited for every environment. The tank must be positioned just right, or it risks exposing its underbelly, one of the most vulnerable parts. And when transitioning from defense to offense, tanks may find themselves at a disadvantage, especially if the terrain is uneven or forces them to expose their weaker spots. Another fascinating tactic is the creeping barrage. Used extensively during trench warfare, especially in World War I, this involves artillery gradually advancing its fire to provide cover for infantry as they push forward. While a direct artillery strike on enemy trenches could be ineffective, trenches were designed to withstand such attacks. The creeping barrage allowed troops to move forward while the artillery suppressed enemy positions. However, coordination between the artillery and infantry was critical. Miscommunication could result in friendly fire. One of the most iconic tactics of the 20th century was blitzkrieg, made famous by the Germans during World War II. It relied on overwhelming force and speed, using mechanized infantry, tanks, and air support to break through enemy lines. Rather than attacking the front line head-on, the goal was to punch through and cause chaos by attacking supply lines, communication points, and reinforcements. The speed and unpredictability of blitzkrieg often left the enemy scrambling to defend multiple fronts, unbalancing their entire strategy. Let's shift to infantry tactics like foxholes. These small camouflaged positions were essential for soldiers to take cover when the enemy was close. Initially used to combat tactics like blitzkrieg, variations of foxholes were developed by different nations. For instance, the Germans often fortified these positions with turrets, while the Japanese relied on more confined spaces, using them effectively for ambushes. Another clever method is recon by fire. Instead of sending scouts to locate the enemy, soldiers would fire into suspected enemy positions to provoke a response. If the enemy fired back, their location was confirmed and further action could be taken. This method trades stealth for information, but when used correctly, it can lead to decisive action against hidden threats. The single envelopment tactic is designed to attack the enemy from two angles. While one division attacks the front, another circles around to strike the enemy's rear. This two-pronged attack is effective at cutting off reinforcements and isolating parts of the enemy force. A more advanced version of this is the pincer movement, where the central units hold the enemy in place while the flanks swing around to encircle them. Once encircled, the enemy is forced to fight on two fronts, often leading to disarray. We also have tactics like the oblique order, where one part of the army concentrates force on one side, slowly advancing at an angle to break through the enemy line. It's a subtle but effective way to weaken the enemy by focusing on a point of vulnerability. A more deceptive strategy is the feigned retreat. Here, troops pretend to flee in order to lure the enemy into a vulnerable position, only to turn and launch a counterattack. However, this can backfire if discipline breaks down and the retreat turns into a real one. In naval warfare, crossing the T is a clever positioning tactic. When a line of warships crosses in front of an enemy line, it allows every ship in the horizontal line to fire broadside, while the enemy ships can only use their front guns. This overwhelming firepower advantage often leads to a swift victory in naval engagements. Bounding overwatch is another key infantry tactic, especially useful when under fire. It involves splitting a unit into two groups, one providing suppressive fire while the other advances. Once the advancing group reaches its destination, they stop and return fire, allowing the second group to move forward. This alternating movement allows for steady, protected advancement under enemy fire. Let's not forget ambush tactics, a cornerstone of guerrilla warfare. Soldiers lie in wait, often in concealed positions, to surprise and overwhelm the enemy when they least expect it. This tactic has been used for centuries and remains effective in modern conflicts, especially in environments where the terrain provides plenty of hiding spots. Another technique is skirmishing, where troops spread out ahead of the main force, engaging the enemy in small, sporadic combat. The goal is not necessarily to win, but to harass the enemy, delay their movements, or weaken their morale. Lastly, let's explore swarming. This tactic is often used by smaller forces to overwhelm a much larger opponent by attacking from multiple angles with many small autonomous units. This confuses the enemy and forces them to defend against a variety of threats, often leading to a breakdown in their defensive strategy. As we wrap up, it's clear that these tactics, though varied, all share the common goal of outmaneuvering, outsmarting, and overwhelming the enemy. From the sniper's precision to the chaos of blitzkrieg, these methods have been shaped by the harsh realities of war and continue to influence military strategy today. If you found this breakdown of battlefield tactics insightful, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.